Welcome to the Girlfriend's Guide to Senior Living. I'm Gail Peacock.
And I'm Lori Williams.
And we are so happy you could join us. We're passionate about helping families navigate the senior living maze. Each episode, we will share with you our knowledge of senior living and help you to eliminate the uncertainties you face in the search for senior resources. Hey girlfriends, today we're addressing the parts of caregiving no one talks about. A caregiver can be a spouse, a friend, an adult child, or a grandchild. They're working, they're retired, they have young children a lot of times, typically juggling all those responsibilities.
So in this first segment, we're going to talk about how caregiving affects all aspects of our lives, but our marriage, our kids, our spouses, same thing as marriage, but how it just affects every part of our lives. And we're going to have some possible solutions for you for stress that it causes. And then in the second segment, we're going to hit on more about how caregiving is going to affect your career or could affect your career and also your friendships and socialization.
So let's get real and let's talk about the unspoken challenges involved when you are a caregiver. So some of the things are loss of self-identity, self-esteem, constant worry. We all feel that one. Feelings of uncertainty, and just old-fashioned guilt. All these go hand in hand and they kind of feed off of each other, right? All these different feelings.
They absolutely do. And we were talking about this. A good example would be, and we've run across this, both of us, several times, but say there's a couple and they're staying home. The wife is taking care of her husband. Well, you know, she stops taking care of herself. And so one of the things that's like the first to go, and we all know, you know, our mom or grandmother who wants to have her hair done. Yeah, you know, they go once a week on Monday, or I think it's usually Fridays that they go. That's the big hair day. And, you know, they have the little poof.
The rollers, you know.
So cute, the little grandma.
Sit under the dryer.
Yeah, and so they get it done for the week. And so if you're a caregiver, like say she's, you know, sweet little grandma's taking care of her husband, now she can't go out and get her hair done. And so she's going past her 1 week time, and that time is probably great when she's socializing with her friends, so she's losing her self-identity there. And then her self-esteem, because her hair, she's got like a little squish and poof, you know, she can't get her hair right, can't get it, you know, the rollers in, and, you know, it's just, it affects everything. So then if she decides she's going to go get her hair cut, or hair done, not cut, she's going to go get it done, then she has to worry about who's going to stay with her husband. Then she has guilt and worry and fear that they're not taking care of him like she does.
As good as her.
Yeah, and then she's
so
worried.
True.
People are going to judge her that she's being, you know, shallow and having to get her hair done.
Selfish, all about her, and you're like, I go 1 day a week, man, come on.
That's her big thing. And I mean, it sounds little, but I mean, it's a big thing. It's all about her self-identity or self-image and just taking some time for herself.
Definitely. And as we all know, marriage is not easy, period. Being thrown in as a caregiver for your spouse and all, it can definitely become a recipe for disaster, right? One more responsibility on you.
So, I mean, being a caregiver is a 24-hour-a-day obligation.
Very true.
So what happens is the caregiver ends up neglecting their own health. And we have a great stat from AARP. It's 72% of caregivers don't go to the doctor for themselves. That's huge.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
And when you're thinking that caregivers are elderly too, and they're not taking care of their own health, I mean, again, there's another recipe for disaster right there.
100%. Another one would be financial burden, just less time to work because you're taking care of your loved one. If you have to hire a caregiver, that's more money out of pocket that you weren't planning on or that you haven't budgeted. And then just keeping up with your normal household bills at home to make sure you got your electricity on, and even, you know, financial, but also just keeping up with those responsibilities at home like you have been, because you're more, I'm going to say, hovering probably more so over that loved one.
Exactly. And all that can, you know, lead to resentment. So there's so many things that are, you know, the caregiver's lifestyle is being changed, and so you can't help but you know, feel some resentment, even though then you feel guilty about that, but you can't help but feel some resentment. You know, there's so many changes to your lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
and we have less, with the resentment, it's kind of that resenting because we have less couple time. If we're a married couple, we have less family time. It's just so much of an effort to go anywhere or be part of a party because now we got to lug the walker, or we got to lug the wheelchair, or are they feeling up to it? And our patience gets really small.
And I like what you said about it when we were talking about it, like you're under house arrest.
Yes.
You can kind of feel that way because you can't leave, come and go as you want, because if you don't have someone to watch the person, if they need someone 24/7,
you're stuck.
Yeah, you're stuck.
You're definitely stuck there. And it's hard to entertain because just having people over the house and you have to worry about how your house looks. Everybody worries about that. I don't worry about that, but a lot of people do. What your house looks like and just getting the food and preparing and everything. It's just overwhelming where you're just kind of like, you know what? I'm not doing it.
Exactly. Also can have an effect on kids of every age. So a lot of times we call it the sandwich generation, which we talked about that before. But say you are the adult child and you're the caregiver for your mom, and you also have kids in middle school or elementary school. I mean, you're kind of stuck between that, and that takes that has an impact on the children because maybe they can't go do the things they normally would want to do. That maybe they can't get to that soccer game because you're home taking care of mom and she's had a stroke or whatever, And the kids take on a lot of that worry because obviously they're in that family dynamic, and so they're taking on the worry that they see either in their parents' eyes or in that loved one's eyes. And it, like Lori was saying, it takes less fun time away from them because now they have to be home because maybe they're the ones that's going to start dinner if they're older. Exactly. Or in my family, my sister actually is going to have a middle schooler, so the school ends differently. It's a whole new structure for the family. And a lot of times my mom's able to help and pick up the kids and stuff. Well, if my dad's not doing great, now it's going to be kind of hard to have that. And so that uncertainty and that, well, what if type thing, it affects everybody. And even me as the aunt, everyone's trying to pitch in and try to help out. So it affects everyone. Absolutely. The other thing is the dealing with the unknown and the anxiety about their health. So say, even if you're not the main caregiver, but your mom or dad, they have health issues, some serious health issues, it's hard to plan. Maybe you want to go on a family cruise. Well, you have that concern there. You do want to go on and live your life, but you have that concern. You don't want to be in the middle of the ocean and find out that something terrible has happened and you can't get home in a hurry. So there's just always that underlying anxiety.
Yes, and planners like myself, that makes me crazy because I'm a planner.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. And we definitely take on a lot just in general. And I think the kids start to kind of take on a lot of those responsibilities to help out, but then they can be, again, going back to resentful because they're not able to do some things that they want to do because they have to help grandpa or whatever that might be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, girlfriends. All right, we've talked about guilt. We're all guilty of, taking on.
Guilty of guilt.
We're guilty. We've just started something new here. Yes. We're guilty of guilt. We're all guilty of taking on more and more until we just all reach that breaking point. So that is what we're calling the unspoken challenge of caregivers. It's just not, telling people that enough. We just keep taking on and not saying anything. The impact of caregiving on a caregiver is mental and emotional health, higher stress, anxiety, depression, and we have to accept that our life is, as we knew it, is changing.
Definitely different.
Yeah.
So we've been a little bit of Debbie Downer, just a titch, right?
A little sorry about that.
We're going to find ways to ease the burden now of being a caregiver. So we want to give you some suggestions. So we're going to kind of run down a few that came to mind for us. There's tons of caregiver support groups, which is huge. And some of them can be online. So depending on what time limit you have, it can fit in your time, as well as you can go to meetings, like face-to-face meetings, if that's more of your bag, versus just getting online. And Lori has a really, really good story about this.
Yeah, I have a good friend who her mother has dementia, and she was telling me that she's very busy. She has kids in middle school and high school, and she works, so she's busy, just like we were talking about. So she's, taking on a lot. So she doesn't have time to go to a support group, but she found a great group that is for Alzheimer's dementia support online. And she said it has just like eased her mind to know that there's other people going through what she's going through, and just, you know, they're just a great resource and support for each other.
And that kind of goes as she was reaching out to Lori. Let's remember our friends, you know, like our circle or our posse, as I call it. You know, your friends are there in the good and the bad, right? So make sure that we reach out to our friends and share, because it is an unspoken challenge that a lot of people don't want to put on their friends, but you know, our friends are there for a reason. All of us girlfriends stick together.
Absolutely. The other thing when talking about this, you know, if you have a child and you're the caregiver and you notice that the stress it's putting on your child, you know, this is the time maybe to talk to a school counselor and tell them what's going on at home. So maybe, you know, if they're not sleeping well, their grades have dropped, maybe there's a reason why, and you need to say what's going on at home if suddenly you've taken over caregiving for grandma and she's moved in with you. So that's a change in a child's life.
Definitely.
Something to address.
A lot of times support groups, obviously, like we've been talking about, they come in all shapes and sizes. You need to figure out what is going to be best for you, your personality and your time frame that you have, and that you feel comfortable that you can share. So everyone's going to have a different way of doing that, if it's online like your friend, or if it's face-to-face meetings at the different communities, at churches. So just think about that.
Senior centers also.
Yes.
We've talked many times about senior centers, but they're a great group for support there too. And they may have, I know even like churches and senior centers, they have like, you know, support groups for people with dementia, Alzheimer's, caregivers, even like widow support, things like there's so many different resources out there. So
another choice could be the personal assistance piece.
Yeah, personal assistance service, and we've talked about that before. But if you're the caregiver, you need a break, you need some help. So consider personal assistance service, where you have someone come in for a couple of hours, you know, a couple of times a week, whatever works for you.
Give you a break.
Yeah,
right?
You need that break. So they could come in, they could maybe do some light housekeeping, they could help with bathing if that's needed.
Play cards. Just visit.
Just someone new to talk to.
Right.
Just some socialization.
Someone that wants to be there.
Yeah, cook you some meals. Just, you know, help out in however you need them to help. So.
And of course, we want to do a little plug for ourselves.
Yes. So, and of course, girlfriends, our mission is to be a source of support for you. So hopefully that's coming across and what we're laying out here for you. So you can listen to our podcast in your car, or if you're at the gym, on the treadmill, you can listen, view us on YouTube, follow our Facebook page. We're putting all kinds of resources on our Facebook page, not just what we're here talking to you about. So we're just trying to, whatever information to make your life easier, we're trying to pass that on to you when we come across something.
Definitely. So some solutions are for day-to-day tasks that we all have, that we kind of just, it seems to, we don't really itemize those or as responsibilities, but they can kind of start adding up after a while. So one of those would be the meals.
Yeah, so I mean, good nutrition is huge, and that's kind of the first thing so that you just kind of let fall by the wayside. So if you're so busy taking care of your family member, maybe you're not cooking anymore.
And
so
you're not have energy enough to be cooking like you used to.
Exactly. You don't maybe want to cook. It's
all good here. I'm not judging.
It's not at the top of my agenda either.
Which we have on my family. We've used Blue Apron, which it comes and it's like you just need to cut everything, which is a nightmare. Choppity chop. But everything's there for you, so you don't have to go to the grocery store. They deliver it right to you. Obviously, Uber Eats and Grubhub. My kids are all about that. And they bring it right to your door. You don't have to pay. There's no money exchanging or anything. You go online and you can order it. Something that I do regularly is if we cook for our family and I just make a little extra and I bring it to my parents. And it's not like, I used to ask if they wanted something, they'd be like, oh no, don't go out of your way, it's fine, we're good, we just had that last week or whatever. And now I don't even ask. I just bring it over there, drop it over, and they can eat what they want and throw away the rest.
Yeah, or even Meals on Wheels could be an option too, where they deliver a meal to you.
It's a great option.
Schwann's, we hadn't heard that one in a while, but when we were talking, Schwann's came up, if you remember, and I guess they're still around, right?
Yeah, and they bring their truck right to your front door, and you can order what you want. They can pull out if they have it in their truck, or you can order ahead of time, from sweets to real meals to bread, pizzas, I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Yes, whatever
and
your
then
mood
we were
is.
talking about, Costco and Sam's. You can go and just buy like a frozen Stouffer's lasagna or just some frozen meal for them, which made us laugh because I told Gail a story about how I went to someone's house for dinner and the lasagna was fabulous. And I was like, this lasagna is just the best I've ever had. It was Stouffer's.
She's like, please give me the recipe. And Lily's like, no, back off.
Yeah.
Stouffer's is my friend.
Yeah, that was kind of embarrassing, but it was good.
Hey, and then you can get it. So you buy one for your family, you can buy an extra one, you could drop it off to somebody, one of your girlfriends that's kind of struggling with this. No one's going to say no.
Exactly.
And it's funny that we were talking about how when somebody has a surgery or a new baby, something that they can't do, their normal task, we always offer, hey, can we bring a meal by? Or hey, can we drop off something?
Yeah.
And no one thinks twice about that.
Exactly.
But now that we're taking over this caregiver role, and everyone's like, no, don't come here. And no, I'm fine. I don't need anything. And so I thought when we were talking about it, it was a very good example of why is that different? You know, it should be the same. We're friends through everything.
We're like, oh, we haven't handled whatever. But no, I mean, we should, our girlfriends are there to help us, and we shouldn't be saying no. We should take the help.
Definitely.
Say yes.
Say yes. Say yes.
Church services for the homebound also, and many of the churches will do this. I know, like Catholic churches will come in and do communion. I mean, there's just...
My grandma had that. It was wonderful.
Yeah. So, and then also there's another person coming into the house. If you're going kind of stir crazy because you're not able to leave your house, and here's someone new to talk to, that's a wonderful thing. Maybe
it is.
Maybe you're like, please don't leave.
Yes, that's part of it too. And they're like, we only have 30 minutes. We gotta go.
So that's a great way to just kind of break up that isolation. And then, as we've talked before, the alert buttons too.
Yes.
So if you need to run out, say the person can be left alone briefly, but you need to run out, run to the store, run do something. The alert response buttons are great to have.
And that puts your worry away as the caregiver that you
Yeah.
can have 30 minutes to run up and get some milk or something. And remember, as Lori was talking about, remember to check out our past episodes because we do talk a lot about services that you can bring in the home, and so you can stay in home and what opportunities are out there. So look at those episodes. So you think you can stay home. Make sure that those resources are still out there for you. So be sure to tune in to episode part 2 of the caregiving, the unspoken challenges, and we're going to cover how it affects our friendships and our careers. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As your girlfriends, we'd love to hear from you. Each episode will feature new questions. Don't keep it a secret. Share us with your friends. We're on Facebook, YouTube, podcast platforms, and even in your Alexa. See you.